Good morning, students. So, in the last class, we discussed about parallel plate capacitor. We derived an expression for capacitance of that parallel plate capacitor, right? So, now in this, let us discuss some other parameters related to that parallel plate capacitor here. And so, before going to that, let us discuss about the charging of a capacitor. So, charging of capacitor. That means during the charging of this capacitor, what actually happens, let us discuss here. So, let us say this capacitor is connected to this battery here through a key, let us consider here. So, this is a capacitance of capacitor, this is a capacitor of capacitance C, right? Now, it is connected to a cell of EMF V. Let us take it as an ideal cell. Now this switch is closed here. Let's suppose this is a plug key K. Now K is closed now. Let us consider that K is closed. Then what will happen? Let us think here first of all. Initially we are taking that capacitor is a neutral capacitor. That capacitor is a neutral capacitor we are considering. So now let us think what will happen here. That means initially it is neutral means this is at zero potential here. So this at zero potential means then once we close the circuit here, then this will get the positive potential and this will get the negative potential. That means now across this battery some potential difference is there. And so that now the charges starts flowing here. That means now you may consider that what actually happens is, if I am taking like for example, if positive charges were considering here, the flow of this positive terminal is applying some positive charges and negative terminal is applying some negative charges, you may consider. Or actually what will happen is electrons will flow, that we know actually here. And so now practically what will happen is electrons from this plate are displaced through this negative plate here until the potential difference across this battery, this capacitor is equal to the potential difference across this cell here. And so that now it is having this higher potential, right? And this is having this. Once if you close the switch, then potential of this plate is becomes a positive potential and this plate will get the negative potential. So relatively this plate is having higher potential than that. Then we know charges flows from this one plate, that means high potential to low potential, or one higher because of potential difference some charges will flow here. And so then you may consider that now here the charges electrons present on this plate will flow along this direction here and that reaches this negative plate here, that means the other plate here. And so that you can say that then positive electrons are flowing in this direction means you can consider that positive charges are flowing here. And so that here we may consider this positive charge is appearing on this plate here. And here similarly this negative charge will appear here. Excess number of electrons will reach that plate there. Those electrons will be transferred like this. Got it? So now the charge distribution will charging of this capacitor will take place here. That means if you are connecting a neutral capacitor to this battery, then automatically some charges will appear on this. How the charges are appearing on this means just charges from one plate will be transferred to the other plate. So here we discussed already when you are discussing the battery does not supply any excess charges, right? It does not supply any excess charges. It just supplies the energy to the charges already existing in that system. So here similarly from this plate, this battery is attracting some electrons here. This is positive plate here. Now this positive plate will attract some electrons present in this plate here. So when some electrons are removed from this plate, then automatically it becomes a deficiency of electron. The deficiency of electron is nothing but we call positive charge. And so now here this gets a positive charge here. Now those electrons are drifted towards this plate here. So this plate will get a negative charge, or you may assume that this negative plate is applying some charges here. That means it is applying some charges to this. That those charges are nothing but coming from this plate here. And so these charges will finally stored on this plate here, other plate. And so that plate is getting some excess number of electrons. So here we are from this plate, we are removing certain electrons and those electrons are shifted to the other plate. So this plate deficiency of electrons are there, which is nothing but our positive charge, and here excess number of electrons are there, and so that there it will get the negative charge. So this process will take place until the potential difference across this will be equal to the EMF of the cell. If only one capacitor is directly connected like this. And so if suppose Q is the charge on that. And so the transfer of the charge will take place until this potential difference across that we can write this as Q by C. So until this Q by C value is equal to V, then charge transfer will take place there, right? See, once the potential of this capacitor, potential difference across this capacitor is equal to the potential difference across this cell, then further there is no transfer of these charges here, because now these two terminals will be at same potential here, and so that there is no further transfer of these charges, right? So that is actually taking place when you are charging the capacitor here. From this plate, negative charges, that means electrons will be attracted or those will be transferred to this other plate here. And that is the case when you are taking a single capacitor. Now for example, let us see, I am taking the two capacitors here. Two capacitors are connected like this. And so here you should remember that charges are flowing in this circuit until the charging of the capacitor only. Once the charging is completed, that means once the charge on this capacitor reaches to this its maximum possible value, or potential difference across this capacitor is becomes equal to the cell. Further there is no flow of charges here, right? And so that means there is current in this circuit, current in this wires only during the charging of this capacitor. Once the charging of this capacitor is completed, then there is no current flowing in the circuit here. Current will become zero, but some charge will be stored on that, and so that here some potential difference will be there. So that is nothing but our purpose of our capacitor here. It can store certain amount of charge. So some amount of charge will be stored. Some amount of charge means some amount of energy will be stored in it actually. So that means that is a principle taking place there. So then during the charging of capacitor only current will be there. And similarly during the discharging of capacitor also current will be there. When charges are flowing back, that means the charges on this capacitor are slowly decreasing, then it is said to be the discharging. If suppose now after completion of the charging from here, I am removing this capacitor and I am connecting across a resistance, for example. This is a positive charge and this is a negative charge here, right? So after charging, I am removing the capacitor from this and I am connecting across a resistance like this. Then what will happen? This plate is having higher potential and this plate is having lower potential, right? And so then charges flows from high potential, positive charges flows from high potential to low potential. Or you can say that practically what will happen is our charge carriers are electrons. So electrons will flow from low potential to high potential. So electrons will flow from this negative charged plate to positive charged plate here. These electrons will flow like this, because here this plate is having some excess number of electrons and this plate is having some deficiency of electrons. So that those excess number of electrons will flow like this to compensate this deficiency of electron here. And so that electrons are flowing like this means then we say this current is flowing here. So in this resistance current will flow like this, right? And so this current also flows only until the discharging of the capacitor. So once the discharging of capacitor is completed, that means the discharging of capacitor means when total charge is zero, because definitely the sum of these two charges will be zero. If it carries a positive charge plus Q, then this carries minus Q. So finally net charge of this system will become zero. So if this process is completing, all the excess charges reaching the positive plate here, excess number of electrons, then total charge on the capacitor will become zero. Once the charge on the capacitor becomes zero, then there is no further flow of the electrons, and that means there is no current here. So that means only during the discharging or during the charging. In that cases only current will be there through the path where the capacitor is connected. So if once charging and discharging are completed, that means that is said to be the steady state. Once the charging of the capacitor is completed, then it is said to be the steady state. Capacitor is reaching the steady state. Capacitor is reaching the steady state means the capacitor is fully charged. Whatever the maximum possible charge that can be stored on the capacitor, so in the fully charged, that means the maximum charge is stored on the capacitor, and so that further no charge will be transferred to that capacitor in steady state means. So that in such a case, where the capacitor is connected, in that branch there is no flow of charges. Similarly, if the capacitor is discharged, then after discharging completely, there is no transfer of any charges here. And so that in whenever capacitors are connected in the circuits, in DC circuits, these are said to be now DC circuits because cell is nothing but our DC, direct current. So in DC circuits, current will be there in the circuit only during the charging and discharging, right? In steady state, no current flows to the capacitor. Because here actually no current flows to the circuit means here actually this is the gap here. There is some gap is there here, or in practically we fill some dielectric there. Dielectric means which is an insulator. So that here electrons, that those charges cannot directly travel from one plate to another plate here. They are traveling, they are able to travel through this circuit only here. So that open circuit, it behaves like an open circuit when charging of the capacitor is completed, right? And so now let us come back to this circuit, how the charging of these two capacitors will take place when two capacitors are connected like this. Now, as we discussed here, this positive plate, we can say that this positive terminal of the cell, we can consider like previous, it attracts the electrons present here. And so that this will get some positive charge, right? Suppose I am assuming that these electrons are traveling like this. This positive plate is attracting those electrons, negatively charged particles from that. And those electrons are transferred by this negative terminal to this plate here, right? And so that these electrons are transferred from this negative terminal to this plate, right? Then what about these plates here? What about charge on this plate and what about the charge on this plate? Now induction will take place. We know when two charges or that means when a neutral plate is placed nearby a charged plate, induction will take place, right? So now here such an induction will take place here. So that means induction means here this is a positive charge here. And so positive charge means here some negative charge will appear here, right? So when negative charge is appearing here, actually some positive charge will appear on the outer side here, right? But here actually what will happen is that positive charge will be transferred to this plate here. And so that here you will get some positive charge here. So practically what will happen is, here we are getting positive charge means from this plate electrons will travel to this plate here. That means these electrons, whatever the electrons we are reaching, they will store here. So because of that, the electrons present on this plate will be transferred to this plate here, right? And so that here deficiency of electrons will be there and here excess number of electrons will be there. So in this case, the important thing you should observe here is this battery can supply the charge only to the plates starting and ending. Whatever may be the number of these capacitors may be there. You may connect 3 capacitors or 4 capacitors or 100 capacitors, you may connect like that in a line, which we call series combination. So then this battery will supply the charge only for this first plate and the next plate. That means directly connected to the battery or directly connected to the terminals of the battery. For those plates only, charge will be directly supplied by this cell. For these plates, now these two plates together are called isolated plates. That means those two plates which we are considering here, these two plates together are called isolated plates. So now net charge on these isolated plates is always 0. So those are isolated plates, right? So net charge on the isolated plates is always 0 because these two plates together are not getting any excess charge from any part of the circuit. Only those two plates are exchanging the charges between them. And so that the net charge of these two plates will be 0. That is one of the property which we will discuss later. Like when you are applying the Kirchhoff laws for these capacitors, so that is nothing but actually the first law of the Kirchhoff law here. So that means the net charge on the isolated plates will be 0. Those plates are not getting the charge from any part of the circuit. Whatever the charges are there in that, they are just redistributing them. Redistribution of the charges will take place here. And so now here the important thing, another important thing here is, if charge plus Q is there on this capacitor here, right? Then this suppose say 100 electrons are removed from this positive plate here, so that you will get 100 E. Now those 100 electrons should be transferred to this negative plate here, because we know accumulation of the charge doesn't take place in a circuit, which is against the Kirchhoff first law. Kirchhoff first law states that the total charge remains conserved. So whatever the charge reaching the junction, the same amount of charge will flow out of that junction, right? So that accumulation of the charge doesn't take place. If 100 electrons are removed from this plate, those 100 electrons must be transferred to this plate here. And so that what we can write here is, if you are taking this as a plus Q, then here charge must be minus Q, right? If you are taking this as plus 100 E, and then here charge will be minus 100 E, right? So if it is plus Q, then that is minus Q. And we know that if plus Q charge is appearing here by the induction, minus Q charge will appear here, because we are taking them as a metal plates. Metal plates means equal and opposite charge will be induced on that in the induction principle. So then minus Q will be there. And similarly, if it is minus Q, then here plus Q will be there, right? So then charging of the capacitors will take place when two or more capacitors are connected like that. Then charging of the capacitor will take place like that. Even if more plates may be there in that system, then the charging will take place between these two plates which are connected together here, right? So that is the charging of this capacitor here. You can observe that when the capacitors are connected like this, the amount of charge on the capacitors will be same. What is the charge on the capacitors here? Plus Q. In the last class we discussed it. The charge on the inner side of the positive charged plate is nothing but we consider the charge on the capacitor. When a neutral capacitor is connected to this battery, you should observe that the charge is only present on the inner side. No charge will be present on the outer side. If you are giving some charge to an isolated plate, then the charge may present on inside and outside, which we discussed like a combination of the plates. In the last class also we discussed one problem. 2Q is charge given to one plate and 4Q is charge given to the another plate. The distribution of charge we discussed in the last class also. So in such a case, charges may be there inside and outside. And so, but with the charging, if a neutral capacitor is connected like this, charges will be there. Whatever the charge here is storing, that will be there on the inner side only. So here charge on the capacitor is plus Q, and here also charge on this capacitor is plus Q, right? So that means when the capacitors are connected like this, then same amount of charge will be there on this. Now if I am taking this another, for example, you will get more clarity if I am connecting one more capacitor there. So let us consider here one more capacitor is connected here. So like 3 capacitors are connected in series, right? And so now in this charge distribution will take place like this. Again the plates, the first plate which is connected to this terminal and the last plate which is connected to this terminal will get the charges from this battery. That means from the battery means the charge redistribution will take place like this. The electrons from this plate will be transferred to this, right? And so that is just a transfer of charges are taking place there. And so that if it is plus Q here, then this will get the negative charge. Now let us see the charges appearing on this remaining plates here. Charges appearing on the remaining plates. If it is plus Q, then here minus Q should be induced on this. And so then again if it is minus Q, then plus Q charges should be transferred to this. So then because these two plates together are called isolated plates, so that the sum of charges on those two plates will be equal to 0. So in general, if it is minus Q, plus Q should be there here. But here there is deficiency of that plus Q charge here. That plus Q charge requirement is there for this plate. So that plate will attract that plus Q. That means that plate will take that plus Q charge here. So that no charge will be there on this outer side of this induced plate. So then plus Q will be there here. Then minus Q will be there here. And so then if it is minus Q, then again plus Q will be there here. Right? So that means two such isolated plate system will be there. Now these two plates together we called isolated plates, and that these two plates are also called isolated plates here. That means you can consider them as isolated plates means this combination. Here one combination is there like this. This is one combination of isolated plates. And here these two plates together are also called isolated plates because those two plates are also not connected here. Now such a two systems are there. This is one isolated plate system and this is another isolated plate system here, right? So that is now when like any number of capacitors may be connected here. So then whatever the charge present on this first capacitor, same amount of charge will be there on this every capacitor irrespective of its capacitance. So when capacitors are connected in series, the charge will be same. That we will discuss later. So that is a simple charging of this capacitor here, right? Next, let us say this energy stored in a capacitor. So, energy is stored in a capacitor. So we are saying that this capacitor is a device used to store certain amount of energy, that means charges, and in the form of this energy, right? And so now let us consider this capacitor is connected to this a cell of EMF V as we discussed now previously. Suppose this is cell of EMF V and this is a plate K here which is closed, let us consider, and C is the capacitance of this capacitor, let us consider. Now as we discussed now previously, some charging of this capacitor is taking place there. So once if we switch on that circuit, then charging of the capacitor is taking place. But here the important thing we should observe is during the charging, let's suppose say capital Q be the maximum possible charge on this. Let capital Q be the maximum possible charge on this. So before that, you will get some charge on this capacitor is not suddenly becomes that Q, right? Capital Q. So charge on this capacitor is increasing because slowly it will increase generally. Practically the charge on the capacitor increases slowly there. So then during that process, if suppose already some charge Q is present on this capacitor at any instant of time here, at any instant of time Q is present on that. Now this suppose say this battery is supplying some charge of dQ to that plate. This battery is supplying a charge of dQ to that plate. So practically we discussed that electrons will flow in this direction. Generally when you are talking that positive charge is flowing in the direction, you can assume, right? Practically what will happen is electrons are flowing from this plate to this plate. So then here what we are assuming is this battery is supplying some positive charge to this plate and negative charge to this plate, you can assume there, right? That also like that we discussed in general there. So then this positive plate I am assuming that it is supplying a charge dQ plus dQ to that plate. Now there exists some repulsive force between already existing charge and this incoming charge. So that means here already some positive charge is there on this plate here. Already some positive charge is there on this plate. And so now we are adding another positive charge to that. So automatically some repulsive force will be there between them. So when repulsive force is there between them, against that repulsive force, some external agent has to do some work to place this dQ charge also on this capacitor, right? Now whatever that external amount of work is done, that amount of work done will be stored in that capacitor there as energy, right? Because if you are taking our spring system, if you are pulling the spring, so like suppose if you are taking that spring block system, if you are considering here. So now here if you are considering like this, a block of mass M is connected to a spring of spring constant K. If you are pulling this by using some external force here, right? Then we are elongating the length of the spring will increase. When length of the spring increases, then some energy will be stored on that, right? So that is nothing but we call elastic potential energy. And now similarly here we call this as some energy will be stored in this capacitor here when charging of this capacitor is taking place by doing some external work on that system. And so now that energy is nothing but we call this as electrostatic potential energy. So electrostatic potential energy will be stored in this capacitor, right? So just to mention that, consider a capacitor of capacitance C. Consider a capacitor of capacitance C is connected to a cell of EMF V of negligible internal resistance. During the charging of capacitor, let Q, small q, be the charge on the capacitor at any instant. Small q be the charge on the capacitor at any instant. Then there exists some repulsive force. Between already existing charge on the capacitor and the additional charge coming from the cell. Therefore, capacitor is to be charged against this repulsive force. For this, some external work is to be done. This amount of work done will store as energy, electrostatic potential energy in the capacitor. So now I am writing this work done for small amount of charge. That means to place this small amount of charge on this capacitor. So dW is equal to, we can write this as V into dQ, right? Our VQ formula we are writing here. VQ formula, work done is equal to VQ formula we can write. So that VQ formula we are writing here. Therefore, now this total work done W can be written as integral of V into dQ we can write. And now that V value we can express this as Q by C into dQ we can write, where V is the potential difference across that capacitor. So potential difference across that capacitor, we can write this as Q by C. So then this is nothing but the limits will be now from 0 to capital Q. We are assuming the total charge on this capacitor is capital Q there. And so then we can write like this. And therefore this amount of work done we can write this as Q square by 2C we can write. Therefore from this energy stored in that capacitor we can write this as, that means what we concluded is this amount of work done will store as energy in that system. So that we can write this as, therefore from this what I am writing is energy stored in capacitor. We represent with the U. So this value is equal to Q square by 2C. And actually you can express this Q square by 2C in different forms here. So this U value we can express this as Q square by 2C, or this can also be expressed as half CV square, or which you can write this as VQ by 2. By using our simple relation Q is equal to CV formula or capacitance definition. Just by using that capacitance definition, you can write these expressions there. So since our capacitance definition is nothing but you can write simply our Q is equal to CB relation. Just by using that relation, you can convert this into different forms here. Just if you substitute that Q is equal to CB value, then C square V square by 2C you will get, then one C square term C will be cancelled, so half CV square you will get, right? And similarly, if you are eliminating this C value from this, now C value we know, C value you can write as ratio of charge to potential, Q by V. So then one V square V will be cancelled, then VQ by Q you will get. So that means now this potential energy can be expressed in this different forms here. But which formula we need to use means that depends on the given data. Depending on the given case and the given data, you need to use that corresponding formula there. Like in power, in electrical heat or electrical power produced, we use a different formula like V square by R or I square R or VI. So depending on that, now these expressions are similar to that. So depending on the case, we need to take that formula, which form of that formula we need to apply there, right? And so now here the important thing here is this amount of energy stored in the capacitor we are saying. Now where this amount of energy is stored in the sense, it will be stored in the space in between the two plates. That means this energy is not stored in the positive plate itself or not stored in the negative plate itself. This amount of energy will stores in the space in the form of electric field. We are saying that this capacitor stores the energy in the form of electric field. You know, electric field lies in the space. So that means now that electric field lies in this space here. So mention that point there. This amount of, that means the capacitor stores energy, the capacitor stores energy in the form of electric field. Therefore, this amount of energy stores in the space between the two plates. Yeah, actually from this you can define this energy density expression here. So now let us see that energy density expression from this. So you know energy density is nothing but energy per unit volume, right? Now suppose let us take this capacitor is having this area of the plates is A and D is the separation between those two plates, right? And so now its capacitance, that means that is the dimensions of that plates what we are assuming. A is the area of that each plate and D is the separation between those plates. And now let us write this energy density here. You know the meaning of this energy density. Energy per unit volume is in electrostatics in Gauss law we defined already. So energy per unit volume is called energy density, right? And so therefore this electrostatic energy density we represent with UE, or simply you can represent with a small u. And so this is nothing but now U by V. Total energy is U by V you can write here. And therefore this value is nothing but and so this value I can write this as suppose I am writing like half CV square. This V is potential difference and this is volume here. I am writing this as small v and this is a capital V, right? And so now I can write this expression as half, that means CV square by 2 into, now this volume I can write this as area of cross section of the plate into D, right? And so now this is nothing but you can write this as, now let us say this. Therefore, this energy density is equal to capacitance of this parallel plate capacitor. Now we can write here epsilon naught A by D into V square by this 2 into A into D square you will get, right? And so now this A term will be cancelled here. And so now from this what we can write this is half into epsilon naught into this value we can write this as V by D whole square we can write. Now where that V is the potential difference between these two plates, right? Potential difference across the capacitor, that V means. So this is a charge on the capacitor, capacitance, and this V is the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor here. It may be equal to the EMF of the cell or it may not be equal to the EMF of the cell. Remember that point or mention here itself, at this formula itself. Q is the charge stored on the capacitor and C is the capacitance, V is the potential difference between the two plates of the capacitor. It may not be equal to that means if you are taking two or more capacitors or connected in series, then in such a case potential difference across each plate will be, each capacitor will be different and EMF of the cell will be different. So it need not be EMF of the cell, remember that point. So now this is potential difference across the capacitor by this distance. So that you can write this as electric field. So that is our relation between electric field and the potential there. So therefore you can write this as UE is equal to half epsilon naught into E square. Since that E is equal to V by D. So this actually we derived the same formula in Gauss law also. So that means now in Gauss law also that electric field energy density we mentioned that as by using that same formula only, half epsilon naught into E square. So here also we are getting the same here. So that means whenever electric field is there, the electric field energy density means we can apply that formula, whatever it may be. It may be capacitor or it may be any other thing, or it may be some charge distribution, charged sphere. So whatever the energy, that source of electric field is there, so then definitely the energy density means we can use that formula here. So then here, here mention this because we are using the small v and capital V here. This is potential difference across capacitor. This V in the numerator. And this V is volume we are taking here, volume of this capacitor. That means volume in between the two plates of the capacitor. So, right? So, it is the energy density expressions there. So, that we discussed already in the previous concepts. Now, what we are proving is we can use the same energy density expression for this capacitor also if it is required. Next, let us see this sharing of the charge between these capacitors here. And after completion of like say series on parallel, let us discuss. And after completion of series and parallel, I will explain this sharing of the charges. So capacitors in series, right? So we know already about the resistors in series and resistors in parallel we discussed already. So this is also similar to that that discussion only. So this I am taking this if capacitors are connected like this, which we discussed already, then during the charging we discussed this one, right? So just I am explaining for this two capacitors here, and you can extend that formula after concluding this for these two capacitors. Suppose I am taking this capacitance source C1 and C2, and this is a potential difference of this cell is V, let us take here, right? So then let us write that. Capacitors are said to be in series. Capacitors are said to be in series when same amount of charge is stored on them. and one plate of capacitor is connected to the other plate. Sorry, one plate of first capacitor is connected to the other plate. That means it here positive and negative means after charging you will get that positive and negative, or you can name that as if negative plate of first capacitor. In case of cells we discuss it like that. In case of cells, the negative terminal of one cell is connected to the positive terminal of next cell, or like that we discussed it there. So, but this polarities of the capacitor like this, you will get the positive charge, negative charge. You may connect this reverse the capacitor also. That means initially, if suppose if I am taking that, what I am saying is if this plates are like this, if you are connecting this positive terminal to this one, then this gets a positive charge and this gets a negative charge. If initially if you are connecting like this, if you are connecting this terminal to positive and this plate to negative terminal, then this plate will get the positive and this plate will get the negative charge. Which plate you are connecting to positive terminal, that plate will get the positive charge. So just to mention a definition up to that. When same charge stores on the capacitor, then they are said to be in series, right? Otherwise you may get confusion about the negative and positive plates there. Let C1 and C2 be the C1 and C2 be the two capacitors connected in series across a cell of EMF V, across a cell of EMF V. Then here what we are concluding is in series means charge is same. So that is Q1 is equal to Q2 is equal to Q. Same amount of charge will be stored on that capacitor. Now here suppose I am taking this potential difference across this is V1 and potential difference across this is V2, let us consider here. So the total potential difference you can write this as so potential difference V is equal to V1 plus V2 we can write here when capacitors are connected in series. And so from this only you can derive an expression for this effective capacitance. So from this if I write this Q is equal to that V value, we can write this as Q by C effective we can write. This total potential difference I am replacing by C effective. And so that means Q by C effective. And similarly this for the first capacitor you can write this as Q by C1 you can write. Potential difference across this first capacitor here. Q by C1 plus for this Q by C2 you can write there. Right? So that means effective capacitance means same as that of resistors which we discussed previously. We are going to replace all these two capacitors by a single capacitor. So that same amount of charge will stores on this. That means now if it is C effective, then here whatever the charge is storing on this capacitor here, if Q is the charge stored on this capacitor, then here also same amount of charge will be storing on this capacitor here. So that means for this if you apply this Q is equal to CV formula or V is equal to Q by C effective formula that we are replacing here. And for this individually if you are writing here, it's a potential difference we can write as Q by C1 and for this Q by C2. So charge will be same on those capacitors here. And you may mention this polarities of these plates also. This is positive and this is negative plate here. And similarly for this is positive plate and this is negative plate here. And so therefore then this will be, you can write this as that Q, as we discussed already, when capacitors are in series, the charge will be same on each capacitor. Therefore we can write this as 1 by C effective is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2. So it is effective capacitance or equivalent capacitance. That we can also call that as equivalent capacitors now, equivalent capacitance of the system. So then this is the formula for this here. Effective capacitance or equivalent capacitance, and which is nothing but similar to that of resistors in parallel. In case of parallel combination of resistors, we got such a similar formula, 1 by R is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. But for capacitors, you will get that formula for the series combination. Remember that. And so then you can simplify this as for two capacitors, you can write like this. C1 C2 by C1 plus C2 you can write there. And next here we can mention this other point as like we can extend this formula for many capacitors there. If n capacitors are there in series, for example, if n capacitors are in series, then this effective capacitance we can write this as C effective 1 by C effective you can write here. So 1 by C effective is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus and so on plus 1 by Cn. Just we need to extend that formula there. Just we need to extend that formula if n capacitors are there in series. And next similarly, suppose if I am taking like if n are identical capacitors, if n identical capacitors are in series, so that means we can write this as now 1 by C effective is equal to the same expression 1 by C plus 1 by C plus and so on plus n times we need to write here. So which you can write this as n by C, and therefore from this that C effective value you can write this as so therefore this is C effective is equal to C by n we can write. So that is another formula, important formula you need to remember. These are all similar to that of our resistor combinations there, but only you need to remember like resistors parallel combination and capacitor series combination are identical. So then that is for the two capacitors we can express like this, and for n capacitors and identical capacitors we are getting this expression like this. That C by n we are getting there if n capacitors are connected in series. And so now we can observe that when n capacitors are connected in series, the capacitance will decrease there. The capacitance will be less than that of least value you will get when n capacitors, that means capacitors are connected in series means. And next for two capacitors we can also write this ratio of this potential difference here. It means like let us write this as an X point. For two capacitors in series, for two capacitors in series, that V1 by V2 ratio of the potential difference we need to write. Sometimes in some numericals it will be useful for us. So then this value we can write this as, just we need to use that formula here, Q by C1 by this Q by C2 we need to write. We know this potential difference we need to write it as Q by C1 by Q by C2, and so from this you can write this expression as C2 by C1. Inverse ratio you will get there. Therefore this V1 by V2 is equal to C2 by C1. Or we can extend that ratio also for n number of capacitors by taking that inverse ratio. So that means that capacitors potential difference across the capacitors will be inverse ratio of their capacitances there. So that is about our series combination of the capacitors, right? So this series combination of capacitors is similar to that of our resistors in parallel combinations. That means the formula appears to be similar. The series means we need to connect like this only. Resistors are connected like this, or capacitors are also connected like that only. Because in case of resistors we say that same amount of current should flow through them. Then they are said to be in series. That means only single path must exist for that. So here also same here, same amount of charge should flow through them, and so that here also single path must be there here. Then we say that those capacitors are in series here, right? And so now next let us say this parallel combination of the capacitors. So parallel means which should remain constant. Potential difference, whether it may be resistors are in parallel or capacitors are in parallel means the condition will be same only. The potential difference across the capacitors must be same. So that means now let us see these capacitors in parallel. So just mention the definition here. So capacitors are said to be in parallel. Capacitors are said to be in parallel when potential difference across them is same. Consider two capacitors of capacitance C1 and C2. Two capacitors of capacitance C1 and C2 are connected in parallel across a cell of EMF V. So now here as two paths are available, that means charge may flow along this path or along this path here. Now that is the difference, major difference you need to observe between the series and parallel combinations here. Parallel combinations means then charge may flow along the different paths, but series combination means only a single path must exist for this charge flow. And so that here the different paths are there here, then automatically charge may be different along those paths here. And so then here charge on this capacitor I am taking it as Q1, and charge on this capacitor I am taking it as Q2 here. And so that this total charge coming from this will be Q, you can write here. So out of this Q2 is flowing along this path and a Q1 is flowing along this path here, right? And so next you may observe this potential difference will be same across them. The potential difference is nothing but you can consider this as V. The potential difference across this each capacitor is nothing but again equal to this V here, because these are in parallel with this cell here. So that means now for this this combination, parallel combination, what we can conclude here is the major condition is potential difference across capacitors will be same. So across capacitors will be same, so that you can write this as V1 is equal to V2 is equal to V. That means V1 and V2 means the potential difference across the each capacitor here. And so next here what we can mention here is about the charge we can mention here. Can you say the relation about these charges on the capacitor? Charges on the capacitor relation. Q1 is a charge on first capacitor, Q2 is a charge on second capacitor we are writing here. Then you can write this total charge Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2 you can write. Just a charge conservation, or similar to that of Kirchhoff current law here. If I is current flowing here, then I1 and I2 you may consider here. Then I is equal to I1 plus I2 you can write. So similar to that. And basing on this only we can calculate this effective capacitance here. So basing on that relation only you can write this effective capacitance. So let us write this as the next point here. Therefore I can write this as basing on that Q is equal to Q1 plus Q2. Now we can replace this as Q is equal to CV formula. So C effective into V. And this V Q1 you can write as V into Q is equal to CV formula we can write here. So then it is C1 into V plus this is C2 into V. So that V will cancel. So that it is C effective is equal to C1 plus C2 you can write. Now again you can observe this, when capacitors are in parallel, the effective capacitance will be equal to the sum of this capacitance. Sum of the individual capacitance we can write, C1 plus C2 you can write here. So don't confuse with the formula here, it should be clear in your mind. Because for resistors and capacitors it appears to be formulas or reverse. So that means when capacitors are in series, then effective capacitance is 1 by C is equal to 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2, right, which is same as that of the parallel combination of resistors. And when capacitors are in parallel, now the effective capacitance is just we need to add the individual capacitance, C1 plus C2 we need to add, now which is same as that of the series combination of the resistors. So don't confuse with that. So most of the students will confuse about this formula only. So instead of series formula, they will apply parallel, or instead of parallel formula, they will apply that series formula. So clear this formula, clearly remember these expressions there. Now you can extend this formula for n capacitors there. For n capacitors, in series, so that C equivalent capacitance or C effective capacitance we can write as, simply you can extend this formula for this n capacitors here. So C1 plus C2 plus C3 and so on, Cn we can write here, right? And so next, if similarly if you are taking all of them are identical, if all those capacitors are identical capacitors, then let us see what we can write here. For n identical capacitors, for n identical capacitors, so just we need to add them as n times here, n C plus C plus C and so on n times we need to write. So therefore I can write this directly as n into C, right? That means that capacitance will be n times that of individual capacitors we can write here, individual capacitance. So then next, so after this what we can write here is about this ratio of the charges stored on this capacitors if you want to calculate here. That means how much, what is Q1 by Q2 ratio if you want to find here, the ratio of charges stored on these capacitors. So that means now for these two capacitors in series, for two capacitors in series, then Q1 by Q2 ratio if I write here, ratio of their capacitances, ratio of their charges, then simply what we can write is Q is equal to CV formula. So C1 into V and C2 into V. Now that V is common for that, in parallel combination that V will be common, and therefore this Q1 by Q2 is equal to, you can write this as C1 by C2 here, and so that will be the ratio of this charges will be equal to the direct ratio of their capacitances only, right? So that is a parallel combination of the circuits here. So again I am saying don't confuse with the formula regarding the series parallel combinations of resistors and capacitors. Remember them clearly, because in problems you may get confusion while instead of one formula you will apply the another formula there, right? So I will explain the problems based on series and parallel combination of capacitors, and next the sharing of charges will be there, that I will explain in our next class, right? Thank you. You can easily solve the problems based on this, capacitors, because as we completed that resistor circuits there, that is why I am explaining this capacitors after completion of this current electricity, so that you can easily solve the circuit problems here, right? Thank you.